Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to start a DIY Dollar Tree Farmhouse Command Center. This is part 1 of 2. We're going to use, for the first thing, we're going to use sets of rulers, and we'll go over how many in a minute. We're also going to use a few of the big popsicle sticks from the Dollar Tree. That's just for support, so you don't need a whole pack. We're also going to need a chalkboard, but I will show you there's other options. And you're also going to need some hooks. Now I decided on these ones from the Dollar Tree. The sticky part's not the best, but we're going to glue them, so I like the size. And then some embellishment, any embellishment that you want. I've opted to take the little piece of home sign off of there, but you could use whatever you want. Now I wanted to show you that if you don't want the chalkboard, you could use like any sign that's big enough. At least as big as the chalkboard would be fine, but really you can customize this. That was the missing item sign from the Dollar Tree. So what we're going to use here is, initially we're going to start with 3 packs of rulers, and we're going to line them up. And what I did was I put the 4 center rulers have their holes down, and the 2 outside rulers have their holes up. I didn't bother removing the plastic measuring because this is going to be the back, but if you want to, you can. I just thought it would be better if it was level to hold the popsicle sticks across, and that's how we're going to keep them together, at least initially. Afterwards we're going to glue more things, so don't worry. And I put 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom, and of course they have to be off center because the sign is a little wider than one of the popsicle sticks is long. Okay, so now I just sanded it quickly, but you don't have to, and I'm just going to whitewash it, but you can do whatever staining, painting technique that you want. Of course, I love all of this farmhouse stuff. It's just like totally my style. So I've just taken some of the Waverly chalk paint. The jar is empty, and I added water to it to kind of create a whitewash, and it dries super fast, which is what I love. So I brushed it on, took a tissue, wiped it off. And now I'm going to take the next pack of rulers. So altogether you need 4 packs of rulers. Yeah, I knew that. So I'm going to take the next pack of rulers, and I'm going to take one of the rulers, and I'm going to cut it as wide as the chalkboard. So if you do use a different sign, you want to just cut it as wide as 6 rulers are, or whatever size you're going to do. But we want to be able to make sure that it's, this actually fits perfectly. A chalkboard fits across 6 rulers. It's almost like it was meant to be. Really. But what we're just going to do is we're just going to cut it as wide as the ruler, just one of them, and then the other one we're going to cut in half. And I'll show you in a minute. What I did was I scored it with my X-Acto knife, and then I snapped it, and then I used the scissor just to cut the plastic off, and then I whitewashed these pieces as well, the 2 sides and then the bottom. Okay, and for this we're going to create like a little pocket for your mail, or notes, or whatever you want to put in there, and then a little key holder as well. So now I'm going to take these hooks, and I'm going to hold them by their little sticky tabs. Don't take their tabs off yet, because you can use those to hold while you're painting. So that's what I decided to do. This is a little black flat paint from Apple Barrel, I believe. And I'm just putting 1 quick coat on each of these, but you could spray paint them if you want. You can leave them white if you choose. It's really a matter of personal preference when it comes to this. But remember, these aren't the best sticky backs, so we're going to take them off and use Gorilla Hot Glue anyway, so don't worry about that. But if you want to use command strips, you can. That's fine too. Okay? Now, the reason we put 4 holes down and 2 holes up is we're going to cover the bottom holes with these hooks, and the top 2 holes we're going to use to hang the whole board on the wall. And I'll show you different ways to do that as well. Okay? So now the next thing you want to do is you want to take a little bit of sandpaper, and this just helps. We're going to create the little box, and how I've done that is I've created a little square. I used the rulers as a square at first. And then I just added all 2 sides and the bottom, and then I added a little piece of popsicle stick down below in the corners just to give a little bit more of the sides to grab onto. And that's just an added touch. That's not 100% necessary. And then what I've done is I've taken a little bit of sandpaper, and I'm going to sand around the 3 sides of that chalkboard where we're going to glue it. So you want to pick your ugly side, if there is an ugly side, and you want to go ahead and sand around all 3 sides. And that just gives a little tooth, because this chalkboard is kind of shiny. It gives a little tooth for the glue to hold on to. I actually ended up taking a screwdriver and like scratching it up too. So I just did that to the three sides that I was going to glue. Now the two sides that we created from the half of ruler are longer than the actual box, and that wasn't objectionable to me. But if you have a preference to make it shorter, absolutely. Now the other thing that might be important to you is one of the sides has a hole. I put the hole towards the top. I put my hole, my side that has the hole on the left because Mom's a lefty, and that's where we're going to hang our chalk or chalk marker. So if you are a righty and you prefer it to be on the right side, you can go ahead and hang on the right side. But we're going to hang it on the left side, but I'm going to make the string long enough to write all across the board, both sides. So if you don't remember to do that part, that's fine. I would just put the hole definitely towards the top so that you can loop on your writing implement, your chalk writing implement. But if you do use like the missing item sign, then you can go ahead and skip this step altogether, okay? If you just want to create a little mail pocket, say. So now I've added the hot glue to three sides. I left enough room for the hooks on the bottom. Went up about an inch or two. I glued the sides and bottom to the board, and then I glued the chalkboard to that. It hangs a little over on the bottom because the sides of the chalkboard are curved, but that's, again, it's not objectionable to me. All right, and then as I was doing it, I realized when I whitewashed the boards, they started to bow a little bit. So I added an extra support in the back. But that's just up to you guys, however yours works. You know, just pay attention to that. And now I'm using the Gorilla Hot Glue to cover those 4 holes. I'm not putting the whole glue in the holes. I'm going around them. And I'm putting the hooks there. I'm just leaving a tiny space between the bottom of the hook and the bottom of the ruler. But really not much. You can barely even tell. Okay? And I love the Gorilla Hot Glue Sticks. You guys know that about me, correct? All right, now I'm showing you can do any kind of different embellishments, but I just wanted to have something flat and tiny so it wouldn't get in the way of the mail. Originally I was thinking how I wanted the house up there, but then I was like, oh, I have this with a little home sign on it, and let's do that. So I replaced its little jute. It gives you a teeny tiny piece of jute. So I put on a piece of jute, glued it to the back so it would hang over, and then I hung it on that side. Now, I am just going to take a jute hanger to hang this on, but when I officially hang it, like for the photo, but when I officially hang it, I'm actually just going to put 2 nails in the holes at the tops of the rulers, but that's why we created it. You could put a ribbon up there, you could put jute up there, whatever you guys want to use to hang it, that's what the options are for. You actually could even use 2 of the command hooks that are silver and white with the little metal hooks, and that would hold that really well as well. So basically, you do what works for you, right? We talk about that a lot. And now I'm showing you here how it would look with a frame. You could take popsicle sticks. We've framed lots of Dollar Tree art with popsicle sticks before, so we've got videos on that in the on the channel page. Excuse me, in the DIY playlist is what I was trying to say. But now we're going to go ahead and tie our strings through those 2 holes, and you make it as long as you want to, as short as you want to, again, or you can hook it on your wall with nails or hooks or thumbtacks or whatever works for you. And the very next thing we're going to do is hang chalk. So I wanted to show you here, it's done. It could be done now if you want to. If you didn't use a chalkboard, you're 100% completely finished right now. But since we used a chalkboard, and I didn't tell you needed this in the beginning because it's an option, you're going to take a little pencil eraser, the rubber kind. And this was a trick I had when I was a religious education teacher, is the chalk fits really well inside those rubber erasers, plus they are adjustable. So I went ahead and I just tied the jute onto one end of the pencil eraser, hung it long enough so it stretched across the writing implements, and then I stuck the chalk in it. And then that's an option if you actually want to use chalk. Otherwise, you can take the little rubber eraser off. You have a little hoop there, and then you can always hang your chalk marker by its little pocket lip thing that, So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to show you both options so that you can decide what works for you, okay? And that's a little tip from me to you to hang your chalk with a rubber pencil eraser. I know, people are going to say, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? You might have, I don't know. Maybe it's not a genius move. And if you do use a chalk marker, remember my chalk marker, excuse me, is a wet erase, which is one of the reasons I like it. If you want to use the chalk marker to write menu or to write shopping list, and then you can use the chalk to actually write your shopping list, then you can dry erase your shopping list every week and just leave the title up there. Or you can use any kind of permanent white marker to make the list, the title of the list that you want. But I just wanted to show you the options, and of course when you hang your keys here, and that's what it looks like. And I really do love this. I think it's like, I don't know, I didn't see anything like this before, but I really wanted something like this in my house. For the next thing, we're going to redo, this is really quick, we're going to redo a dry erase board with some washi tape. These are all from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to end up using the houndstooth and a little bit of paint. So I did show you that they do have a dry erase board that's larger, that does have a black frame, but the frame is only really along the edges. I really like this one because the frame is kind of along the front. And it was easy to take off, except for, of course, the last corner. The last corner is always the hardest to take off, isn't it? But it's not a big deal because it was glued, or the glue had gotten under the lip. I ended up pulling a tiny piece of the corner off, but I just put that piece back there, and we were going to glue them back into place anyway, so it's not a big deal. But you want to remove all of the sides and the corner pieces. Sometimes the corner pieces stayed with the sides, sometimes they came off by themselves, whichever happens for you. And then I'm going to paint them with a coat, that same black flat paint. My little trick that I'm showing you here is I like to use my tweezer. I did end up getting a little bit of paint on me anyway because I forgot to use my tweezer. Like, I used it and for the first piece, and on the second piece I forgot to pick it up. But what I like to do is I like to paint most of it, and then I use the tweezer to hold it so I could paint the rest and not get paint on my fingers. I had on a pretty shirt today. I wanted to be neat. So when my advice for painting is make sure that you get the ends as well as the inside seam. Basically, whatever is going to show when you're looking at the chalkboard. You don't want that orange stripe or green stripe or purple, whatever color you get, to be showing. So I made sure you do the edges as well. Okay, so I do the front, the side, and then of course the little edge that goes over the board. And I repeat this with all of the pieces. Okay, now this paint was one coat and it dried really quickly. It is, I think it's the Waverly chalk paint in ink. I think that's what this one was that I ended up using. So then I loved this washi tape. I love this washi tape. But I wanted to show more on the board, so I knew that the edge was going to take over. So I actually just moved it in about 1/8 of an inch. I just left a little bit of the dry erase board there, about 1/8 of an inch in. And then what I did was I mitered the corners. I did is I folded it on a diagonal, and I just took my little scissor and I went flat to the board and trimmed that little diagonal. I mean, it's not perfect, but I didn't want to use the overlap and cut because this dry erase board is a piece of paper. Have you ever taken one of these apart? It's a piece of paper on top of a piece of cardboard, but what are you going to do? Anyway, I repeated this for all 4 sides and all 4 corners, and I didn't worry about it overhanging because the actual trim, once it's dry, is going to go over, like the frame is going to go over that edge anyway. Okay? So I'm showing you here. Now this particular board, or the other one too, comes with magnets for you to hang it on your refrigerator, say, or your locker. I'm not going to put my command center on the refrigerator. First of all, my refrigerator is not magnetic, believe it or not, just on the sides. But I'm not going to put mine there. I'm going to hang it on the wall. So I'm going to show you, we're going to glue some loops on there, the little, new scoop loops that we make. So keep in mind, however you want to hang it. If you hang it from a noose, then it's going to need to be balanced. The way you balance it is by putting the marker across from the noose. It's the best way I can describe it. I'm actually putting 2 options here. So I'm going to show you one to hang it sideways and one to hang it long ways. But I have the marker opposite of the noose that I made so it can hang long ways and be balanced. And that's it. So that's it for these 2. Part 2 is coming tomorrow. I can't wait to show you when it's all done. If you guys have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share it with friends and family. Anybody you know might be interested in learning how to make one of these command centers. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe, and when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, you take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye!